one of the big reasons that companies jump headfirst into social customer relationship management. I mean, if you notice, there were like 60,000 people attending, or maybe 80,000 people attending the Salesforce Dreamforce conference in San Francisco a few weeks ago. They weren't all there to like see, Metallica play. I mean, granted, that was probably pretty
Yeah.
cool, but I'm down for a Metallica gig anytime. But no, they were there. They were there because they wanted to know what are the benefits, specifically the immediate benefits of having a social enterprise. And that's whether you have a company of 10,000 people or just, let's say you own a chain of 6 restaurants and you want to make that a social enterprise. Like, I think it was Papa John's used to manage, I think it was like 200 regional pizza places using Excel spreadsheets hosted on the server.
Jeez.
It's in the book. Like
Yeah.
I had to read the case study like 4 times. I'm like, Papa John's, they make like millions and millions on pizza. How could they have done this on Excel? Well, turns out they're like, you know what? We kind of want to make billions instead of millions, and they switched their business to the cloud. If you want to look at the case study, just type in Papa John's Salesforce. Let me see if I can find
Yeah.
it.
It's interesting you say that. It's, Excel is the world's largest database, right? And it's there, there's so many companies. Even I used to run across it when I was owned a software company that they would run their entire financials on Excel. We're talking like huge companies. 500 million in revenue, billion in revenue, running their financials on Excel. It was just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so there's so many companies that have made the jump now to some sort of social customer relationship management platform and seen immediate results. And I mean, if you want case studies that are a little bit more neutral, I would say don't look at the vendor websites, because obviously the
Mm-hmm.
ones that you're going to see at Oracle's website or Salesforce's website may not be sort of like the cleanest case studies out there. If you want stuff that's a little less biased, I'd say go to the bookstore, buy books. There's 2 books on social CRM that I can think of. My book, and of course the great one that came before it, which was called CRM at the Speed of Light. And that's by my friend Paul Greenberg. He's based out of Washington, D.C. area.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a book called CRM at the Speed of Light. It's got a big green cover. And that also has some wonderful case studies. So between those 2 books, if you want to know if CRM is actually going to work for your company, those are the 2 that I'd read.
Do you when you're actually in these companies? I mean, you're engaging right across the board. Do you find it really tough to get the C level to buy off on this, or do you find that they're a lot easier? It's just more the middle management that could create the barriers to actually implement.
Yeah, you have to remember what language everybody speaks within a company. Like, I don't know if anyone's read the Skip Miller book, Proactive Selling, but you have your managers and directors who are speaking a highly tactical language. Skip Miller calls it, they speak
Yep.
Spanish. Then you have your VPs who speak, they speak the language of basic value, which is usually return on investment, risk or risk mitigation, brand, which is one of the softer value points, and then of course time, how much time is saved or wasted, and Skip Miller calls that speaking Russian. And then you have your C-level executives who speak what's called Greek, and all they really care about is revenue, earned revenue before taxes, things like that, and especially profit. And so if you can manage to illustrate the value proposition of such social customer relationship management to all 3 levels in the language that they correctly speak, you'll be successful. But if you try and sell fans and followers to a CEO, get out of town. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pointless.
It's a bit of fluff that they may be
Yeah,
looking at, right?
yeah. It just doesn't even appeal to them. Whereas if you tell the VP of marketing, hey, listen, you're going to hit your marketing revenue goals if you deploy this solution and manage it properly, and you tell the CEO, look, profitability has increased for the following 5 companies by doing this, this, and this. Do you want to take a shot at this? And also, when you have a big company, these projects don't just go all at once. They typically go in small pilot projects and then a larger pilot. Then it's more of a crawl, walk, run strategy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whereas a smaller company, if you and I owned 2 pet stores with 30 employees, yeah, sure, maybe we could just pull the trigger. But if you own Hewlett Packard, I don't think it's going to go off in one blast.
So are you a believer in controlling your network and running your own online forum for all of these communication methods, or do you think that the future is going to be services like Google Plus and other social networks, the Facebook evolution? Do you think those mediums are going to be so overpowering that you're not going to be able to run your own internal version of it?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think my answer is both. I have no preference, and I think the way to look at this is take a look at a company like Autodesk. They're a real good example. They're our neighbors right up the road. If you know anyone who's an architect or anyone who's an engineer or anyone who does 3D design, you mention the phrase Autodesk, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, of course, I use it every day." They make the building you're standing in right now was probably designed using an Autodesk project if the building is newer than like 1990. And so they're a company. Then if you go to Autodesk.com, you'll look at where it says community, and you will be blown away by the amount of user communities and forums they have and how vital and vibrant they are. But then if you look on the right side of the page, you're like, they also connect to the outside world too. Like Autodesk has 25,000 people they're engaging with on a minute-to-minute basis on Twitter, a zillion on Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. They have wikis, they have dozens of blogs of their own. So it's the answer, generally speaking, if you have a large amount of customers, is, well, both. It's not enough to just have, your own online forums where you can, you can manage the conversation. But there's also going to be things that your customers want where they don't feel like knocking on your door and coming in. And they might just want to talk about it on their turf. You have to be, just like a therapist has to meet the client where they are, a consultant needs to meet the client where they are, a business on the social web has to meet the customer where they are.
Yeah, you have to already have a basic understanding of where your customer is, and then
if you're
engage them in that world.
If you're not in acceptance around that, this may sound like very Buddhist kind of principle, but if your company is not in acceptance around where the customer is, how are you going to have a loving relationship with that customer?
Gotcha.
Chris, I think we should wrap it up. We are at almost an hour here.
Yeah, we are. One of the things, Adam, I would like to say is just kind of give you a bit of a space here to just, if people want to contact you, reach out to you, and I know you've got some wonderful things to share with people that are viewing this. First of all, where should people get a hold of you? Should they go to your website?
Sure, yeah. So it depends what you want. If you want, there's actually this $520 audio course that we just wanted to give away to people. It's an 8-hour audio course, and of course you can ask me questions on our free teleclasses. So I'll give you the URL for that. Excellent. Maybe you could post it on the screen. It's metz.customerhub.net. So if you go there, if you go to metz.customerhub.net, you can register for free, and then you'll get all of our audio courses, and you can just listen to them in the car or on your iPod.
That's .net, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, metz.customerhub.net.
Bottom,
and then if you want to download a couple of free chapters from the new book, I made about a half-hour MP3 for you to listen to. But that's just at adammetz.com. That's ADAMMETZ.com. And there's another ebook there called The Metz Way that you can download too. It's about 30 pages long. So that'll give you a lot of stuff to listen to and read, and it'll teach you about not just social customer management, but having passionate relationships with your customers and actually just being passionate about what you do for a living, and also how to get to that if you're not currently there. So that's a good way to reach me. And of course you can email me from the website, just adammetz.com.
What about anyone trying to engage you in potential consulting here and stuff like that? We'd like to give you a bit of a on that too. So.
Sure, yeah, just adammetz.com. You can ping me on Twitter too. It's just I'm the Metz on Twitter. I'm pretty easy guy to find, and you can call me at 510-854-METZ.
Well, what we'll do is we'll follow up here with a link to that course and some of the links to your material, and of course a link to the actual book where people can. Now, is your book is available in hardback, but is it also available in audiobook or?
Yeah. So the deal is this. It's funny that you mentioned that. Anyone who's thinking of buying the book for the next 6 days before October 20th, sit tight, actually. Don't buy the book until the 20th. Here's the reason. If you go to socialcustomerbook.com, we're giving away $1,000 worth of free stuff only if you buy the book on October 20th. It's only for 1 day. So it's socialcustomerbook.com. So if you want, download the first couple chapters and chill out with those, but sit tight. Don't buy the book until next Thursday. And then as far as paperback goes, I have a hunch it'll probably come out in paperback next summer.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
And in the meantime, it should be out on the Amazon Kindle and the Barnes & Noble Nook within a week.
Oh, good.
If it's not, it was up. The Kindle version was up the other day, but I think Amazon made some edits to it, so it should be back up on Kindle rather shortly.
Gotcha.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining today.
Of course.
It's great, and of course, this is going to be a rebroadcast, so all of that information will be available leading up to that great signature moment of your official book promotion. So we'll obviously be leading people over to that when they come and register and watch this rebroadcast.
Awesome.
Any
Well, thanks so much, Chris and Kirsten. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I hope everybody who reads The Social Customer is able to look at it and just make a quick decision on whether this is something that's good and profitable for your company, or if not, Harry Potter awaits.
Yeah, and we really appreciate your give forward attitude. That's key, and it's symbolic of your beliefs with regards to using this kind of technology.
And as I'm holding it up again, and I'm looking, I see you got my buddy Jeffrey Gittimer, who's got the an endorsement on the back here. So it's if Jeffrey says it's good, it's got to be good.
Look at all those notes that Chris has in that book. I mean,
actually, you know what? I really
sticking out of it.
I thought this was a great book. Especially, I'm gonna plug the sales and marketing side of it, right? Because I mean, if you're listening and you're hearing out there, we often say it's a great source of trying to figure out how to get sales leads or try to engage in that kind of process, right?
Yeah.
And that's, to me, is just one of the most ultimates on going down this path, right?
And I think it's way cheaper to keep your current customers than it is to go out and get new ones. I think it's 5 times more pricey to go out and score a new customer than it is to sell to a current customer.
Absolutely.
So it's like why not just keep the awesome customers you have? And this book will just
Keep
tell you how
them
to do
happy.
that.
That's your mantra, Chris. Right
Exactly.
there. Best is the referrals, and keep them happy.
You betcha.
Thanks very much, Adam.
Thank you.
Great
Talk to you
having
guys
you.
soon.
You betcha. Thank you
Take
very
care.
much.
Take care. Bye.
Well, that's great.